The Icons of Real Estate Podcast. Are you ready to learn the proven money-making secrets from top-producing icon agents? Ready to skyrocket your business? This podcast is for you. Tune in every week with your host, Tomasz Fonseca, and find out how to implement proven strategies to 10 times your business, from $3 million to $30 million in just 12 months. Brought to you by the Masters at Real Estate Marketing, Arter SEO.
Welcome to the Icons of Real Estate. I'm Tim Calloway. We have a very special guest for you today, Jess Lenouvel. She is with the Listing Labs and helps realtors, real estate agents, build to seven figures without jeopardizing any of their time and freedom. Jess, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm fantastic. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, happy to have you. So really excited. I told you before that I did a little due diligence on you and read this fascinating story about how you got started. And, maybe in your own words, how did you get started?
Yeah, for sure. So I actually got into the business when I was quite young. I was coming out of school. My mom has been in real estate for 35 years. So I kind of grew up in the business. Okay. She dragged me along to a lot of things over time. And then when I came out of school, we really weren't sure what I was going to do with my life. And so she basically said, why don't you get your license and see if you like it. Right. And I kind of fell into the industry. I tried to work with her. I know that there are a lot of mother-daughter, mother-son teams out there. I was not one of them that worked well with her mother. So I went out on my own. I remember back then being taught that I had to do things like a very specific way. And I'm very shy naturally. I'm introverted.
I can tell.
I can show up and I can have great conversations with people, but then I need a nap,
Gotcha.
So, the idea of having to get out there and knock on doors and kiss babies and all the things, it was really overwhelming to me. So I knew that I had to figure out another way for me to be successful in the industry, but also create that leverage and that, name for myself. Right. So what I ended up doing is there was this brand new thing. I'm going to age myself. There was this brand new thing back then called Facebook. And Facebook at the time only had a wall and classifieds. Right. And so I built my business off of having conversations, off of classifieds. Wow. I had conversations, I created content, and I started building relationships on the Facebook platform. And so I built my business that way, and then got further into digital marketing when I met my husband, and we built a multi-seven-figure team together. We had a great business. And then I guess it was in end of 2017, early 2018, I had a bit of like an existential crisis. I think I went through my midlife crisis in my early 30s. I hope it's over. And I realized that I felt like I was serving the wrong people. Right. I had all these agents around me who seemed like they were struggling, and I felt like to a certain extent I'd cracked the code. And so I founded the Listings Lab, and I made the transition out of selling real estate and into training. So that's what we've been doing since, the beginning of 2018. Our business has grown tremendously. We have a team of 15. And I live in the Bahamas now. So yeah. I moved to the Bahamas in January, and everything's wonderful.
I could sit and talk about the Bahamas all day. We could just can everything else.
Do you love the Bahamas?
Well, I'm right across from you. I'm in West Palm Beach.
Yep.
So, if back in the day I could throw a rock and hit the island. No, but it's beautiful over there, and it's definitely a place that I suggest folks who haven't been there,
I'm on the island. I'm on the island of Eleuthera.
Okay.
So a lot of people, when they think Bahamas, they think Nassau.
Right. Right.
And so where I am is quiet. It's beautiful. It's very family oriented. It's been a dream. We absolutely love it here.
If you don't mind me asking, what was the impetus for that? You don't have to get into it in great detail.
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, so my husband and I, we spent our third date in Jamaica. So we went
Okay.
on a trip together for our third date. We moved very, very quickly. And we had a great time. And I remember like our whole relationship, we've been married for 9 years now. And we've always talked about wanting to live somewhere tropical. So we're
Sure.
originally Canadian.
Okay.
So, Canadian winters aren't anything to laugh at.
No.
And once we got to a point where we kind of felt comfortable, which we put it off for longer than probably we should have,
Yeah.
but it was a combination of weather, proximity. So it's super easy. It's a 2.5 hour flight for me to get to my mom and dad,
Yeah.
which was important to me. I wanted to be able to get home quickly, and taxes. So the combination of the three, the Bahamas was really the perfect fit for us.
I'm not kidding. I could talk about this forever because I've been married for 30, almost 31 years, and I have tried, not necessarily the Bahamas, that would be one on the list.
Yep.
Tried to get my spouse, but she has it hooked in her head that our 4 sons that are adults now and getting married, we wouldn't see them. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
Oh, they'd come and visit you all the time. I've
Well,
had
sure.
more
Yeah,
visitors since
right,
I moved here than I've had family from all over the world come and visit me, because
right.
there's this like, it's different when you live in like a vacation destination.
For sure. Well, Florida is a vacation that, we have family all
Absolutely.
over the United States and who never came and visited us ever. I lived 10 years in Tucson, Arizona.
Yep.
Not to knock Tucson, but not a lot of visiting goes on, a little bit, but no one came and saw us. And as soon as we moved to Florida,
All of a sudden
everybody's
you
coming to
needed
see
your
us.
spare bedrooms.
Oh,
Yeah.
we're super popular now. Yeah. So, but no, I would love maybe at another time talk to you and your husband
You got
about
it.
living in the Bahamas
You
because
got it.
maybe after a certain time I get to say, hey, you know what? I made it in marriage. I'm going. If you're not, hey, that's fine. No, I wouldn't do that, but I would have made it 32 years if I had that, or longer than that, if I had that mindset. So you got started, you got the listing lab going,
Yep.
right? And so tell me about who your target market is and how do you go about finding them?
Yeah, so the majority of the agents that we work with are already at 6 figures. So there's a lot of programs out there that are geared towards getting that new agent set up and running, and the stuff that, like, really the hard work and the sweat that needs to go into actually starting the business from scratch. We specialize in taking agents who are already in that low 6 figure range and getting them to a point where they're at 7 figures.
Gotcha.
So when I say 7 figures, I mean 7 figures in profit every year. So taking that 7 figures home, if you will,
Yeah.
and also having the freedom that a lot of people give up in order to be successful in this industry. So I wrote a book called More Money, Less Hustle.
Mm-hmm.
And it really is geared towards the 7 pillars to 7 figures with freedom.
Yeah.
And each and every one of those pieces is incredibly important. I myself, the very first time I hit 7 figures was, I did it alone. And it was probably one of the worst times in my life. From the outside, everyone thought I was killing it. People thought I
Yeah.
was so successful. I've never been so burnt out and so unhappy, because I had absolutely no time or energy or space for myself, for my husband, for any of the things that I cared about. And honestly, that's not why people get into real estate in the first place. We get
Right.
into
Right.
real estate for basically three main reasons. We want unlimited income potential.
Mm-hmm.
We want to be able to set our own schedule and like be a business owner, and
Right.
we want to help people.
Right.
And a lot of the time when we don't leverage properly, or we don't set our businesses up to be well-oiled machines, if you will, a lot of the time what ends up happening is we end up being the bottleneck of the business. We end up wearing every single hat in the business.
Yeah.
And instead of building a real business that can run without you, you end up with this, moderately successful hustle that is stressful all the time, and that everything stops if you decide that you want to take a day off.
Yeah, it's almost the definition of hell. I mean, when I say that,
100%.
yeah, it's like I'm doing all the things said I loved and I'm miserable. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, it must be me. And it is, right?
Mm.
It really is, because you haven't put that plan that Jess offers or has put together No, it's a reality though, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's not in some markets, West Palm Beach being one, and maybe, Beverly Hills and places like that. Hitting six figures, hitting six figures may not be that difficult. Only because,
Yep.
the homes are 50
And the
million.
price, yeah, it
Yeah.
depends on the price points and it
Because it
depends on the
depends on the
market.
price points.
Yep.
But I
Yep.
know plenty of agents, and I'm right with you, Jess. Plenty of agents that their average home is $300,000, and to hit six
Yep.
figures, it takes boots on the ground, digital. It takes a team. It takes everything you
Hmm.
have, and
Hmm.
it doesn't take very much to get burnt out on doing that. But
It
guess
doesn't.
what? That's the majority of agents. That's 80% of the agents in America, or overall. I keep saying America.
Absolutely. I would say so. I think that there's, we've come out of this, what I like to call the crushing it era,
Hmm.
where everybody thought that it was like, the grind and the struggle was so sexy and that everybody was like glorifying it and no pain, no gain. And, what we've been left with is an entire industry of burnt out
Yeah.
agents who, you know, have lost their fire and lost their love for the industry in some cases because of the way that they have kind of missed out on
Yeah.
setting up their businesses like real businesses.
Right.
And they were told or taught, and this was ingrained in them from the beginning, that you have to work the hardest and that, hard work will outweigh talent and all of these things. But
Right.
the result of all of that is inefficient businesses with, lack of real understanding of how to run a real business, lack of leverage, and really unhappy, burnt out people who frankly aren't running businesses.
Right.
And they're providing a service and they've become a salesperson, but they
Mhm.
actually haven't set up a proper business. And because of that, they they have no freedom. And the
Right.
business becomes those, even if you're making a lot of money, the business becomes those golden handcuffs.
Right. I mean, you're really teaching people how to be a CEO and properly delegate and have functionality.
I actually have a training that is called the 3 steps to CEO
Oh,
or 3 shifts
well,
to CEO,
yeah,
because I think it
nice.
is so important to, and it just starts with decision making.
Right.
And so many people have made decisions that don't necessarily feed the ultimate dream or the ultimate goal of where they want to be. I don't know many agents who will tell me that 10 years from now, they want to be working 16-hour days in order to
Right.
make the money that they make.
Right.
So many people dream of the leverage and the freedom. And, yes, you're never going to have 100% passive income selling real estate,
Oh,
but
sure.
there is an element of, creating proper systems and efficiencies in your business that will allow you to have a multi 7-figure business working a couple hours a day and
Right.
having the rest of the time to actually live your life, which was the whole point.
Right. Yeah, good stuff for sure. Okay. So we talked about how you started and we kind of talked about who your target market is and kind of what's going on today. Quick question. So you're over in the Bahamas. You give, you have functions and speak in front of large groups on a regular
Yep.
basis.
Yep.
Are most of those here in the States, or are they
They're
all
all over
over?
the place.
All
Yeah.
over.
So I would say Canada and the US.
Okay.
So that tends to be where we mostly are. Um, we have, like, for instance, in November, I'm speaking on a stage, I think in front of about 4 or 5,000 people in Toronto. And I'm introducing Bill Clinton.
Oh,
So he's
wow.
the keynote. I think I'm then next, second keynote. And so that's happening in November. And then I'm speaking at a summit in March in South Carolina. So
Wow.
in terms of stages, they're kind of all over the place.
All over the place.
Um,
Yeah.
but again, Zoom has made things so much easier too.
Right?
I can speak in front of large. I did Berkshire Hathaway's. I did their like whole conference.
Yeah.
I followed John Legend, so hard act to follow, that's for sure.
Right?
But I think
Did
that
you
went
sing?
out. I did not. I would do.
Oh,
You know what? I think that John Legend is probably better than I am.
no. I can tell you got the chops. Come on.
But yeah, I mean, there was 55,000 agents that went to. So,
Wow.
um, Yeah, I mean, Zoom and the internet has definitely made it easier for me to be in the Bahamas, but I do
Yeah,
travel to speak, usually no more than like once a month or two.
that's not a bad gig, huh?
It's
But
not
there's
so bad.
plenty of work at home, getting everything, running another business, I mean,
Absolutely.
lot of work there. So let me ask you this. If I had a magic wand and I could solve one singular problem that you have on a consistent basis, what might that be?
Um, Honestly, it would be, and this is something that our marketing does, and this is the battle that we fight, which
Mm-hmm.
is explaining to or helping agents understand that marketing is psychology.
Okay.
It's not just about, it's not, so many agents have been ingrained to believe that it's just about exposure.
Yeah.
And they're wasting money and throwing spaghetti at the wall. And the number of times that I hear that you can't generate business from social media. We have clients who are bringing in 200 to $300 million in volume a year
Oh
from social
yeah,
media,
for sure.
or Facebook ads don't work. It's like, well, Facebook ads don't work if you don't know how to run Facebook
I
ads properly.
100%, Jess. Oh my gosh, I'm almost stomping my feet right now.
I know, I know.
Because obviously, the company that owns the show, they're in digital marketing as well. And
Yeah,
uh, look, if if there are people there, and they're in a cycle of some sort, and they need your service, then you need to be in front of them. And it's not just a picture of you. I mean, it's got to be engaged. I mean, these are tenants that
so
you're all
many
about.
people are running, and here's the difference, is that there's a difference between running ads and running
Mhm.
campaigns.
Sure.
And the real, like, all marketing is being able to take someone psychologically from stranger to client,
Right.
and putting and boosting a post with a picture of your business card on it is going to do none of those things.
None of it. Right.
Right.
That's
And
like
so I think I think that's my biggest challenge, is trying to, I had someone the other day who didn't enroll in the program and
Mhm.
said, I'm going to take that money and spend it on ads. And I'm like, you should
Oh,
just light that money on fire.
sure.
Because if you genuinely don't know how to run campaigns and you don't understand the psychology of the marketing and the foundations behind it, your ads aren't going to work. It doesn't matter. You could cut that ad spend into a tiny fraction. And if you're
Sure.
using human psychology and you truly understand how to market effectively, then the results and the ROI you'll get from a tiny amount of ad spend will be so much bigger than if you spend a big chunk
Right.
on ads.
Right. Yeah, it's like it's the Family Guy, Peter Griffith, when he printed his business cards and he went up on top of the roof and he goes, "Here I am, world," and he threw the business cards up in the air and they just flittered and everybody just walked over them.
Yeah.
The ads are the same way.
Yeah.
If you don't know how to create compelling problem-solving ads, what I
Agreed.
call them, uh,
Agreed.
yeah, you're doomed. So yeah, good stuff there
And
for
so
sure.
those are the things that I think that frustrate me,
Okay.
is fighting the we're fighting the good fight over here.
Yeah.
We're trying to educate an industry that a lot of the time is 5 to 10 years behind.
Yeah.
and
There's a
and
yeah.
fights change.
Sure. And there's a bit of pride and hubris in this industry as well.
Hmm.
Once again, if you think about certain markets, it's not real hard to get to 100 million if every home you sell
Nope.
is 40 million,
Yep.
it's crazy. So let's do this. Let's put our prognostication hats on. And where's the listing lab in a year? Where are you in a year? Or are you and your
Mm.
family? What does the next year look like?
So I would say the next year we have put everything in place. We've got all of our systems set up so that we can help more people. So one of the things we teach and that we have done ourselves is we got all of the foundational pieces done so that we actually have the bandwidth and we can handle, twice as much business. And
Right.
I think that a lot of the time, especially in real estate, people do it the opposite way,
Right.
where they generate more business than they can handle, and then they actually clean up the back end. So we've done it the opposite, which is the way that we teach it. Everything on our back end and everything from a support standpoint is ready for kind of that next level. We are expanding our ads. We are trying to get in front of more people.
Okay.
I'm speaking on more stages. Yeah, we're wanting to help more people. We have
Yeah.
our programs. They deliver incredible results, and we're very happy with what we're doing.
Yeah.
Um,
There's plenty
and
of them out there. That's for sure.
100%. And you know
Yeah.
what? I just wrote a book, and so I don't. Someone asked me, they're like, "Are you going to write another book?" And I was like, "Give me a year.
Yeah.
Like, I
That's,
need a break."
I need some, we need plenty of people to read this one. And then when they thirst for more, I'll be there to deliver it. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely,
For sure.
absolutely. One book is enough per year, I think.
Right. Come on, Stephen King, every 6 months. Uh, Fantastic. So before we get into the tail end of this, because we're kind of winding down, but
Yeah,
um, how could people get in touch with you, or maybe, how do they sign up, or where do they find your books? What's the best
sure.
way to find everything you have to offer, Jess?
I would say there's the two places that are going to be the best are Instagram, which my handle is just Ask Jess Lenouvel. So it's just at first and last. The other option would be my Facebook group. So I have about 30,000 agents in my group as of right now. It's called the Listings Lab Method for Real Estate Agents. And we drop trainings in there. There's value delivered in that group every single day.
Wow.
So there's trainings, all of my everything new that I create is always in that group first. Um, yeah, I guess it's kind of like my gigantic living room
I
where
think you're,
everybody gets things
yeah,
first.
I think you're easy to find for
I
sure.
think I
Sure.
am.
If not, head to the Bahamas. You're roaming
Yeah,
around
you can
somewhere
come
on a
find me.
beach.
Yeah.
Um, So, like I always say, my guest, I'm just here to facilitate, you're the star of the show. I'd like to give you the last couple of minutes to kind of go over anything that you like, maybe something we missed, or maybe your favorite animal kennel, whatever it might be, you
I
know.
think that the number one thing that I hope that people see and understand, especially as we kind of come into this very different market that we've seen
Hmm.
in a long time,
Hmm.
would be that results don't take time. Results take courage.
There you go.
And if you're
Love it.
not willing to do the things that you're scared of, and you're not willing to make adjustments and make changes to the way that we've always done things, this is going to be a very hard market for you. And,
Right.
I think that, and it really just comes down to Darwin, right? Like natural selection. It
Right.
doesn't matter if you're talking about a species or you're talking about a business. The ones that survive and thrive are going to be the ones that are the most adaptable.
There you go.
So we're not able to actually fight. Not only do I see agents that are fighting technology and fighting the way that the world works now, but now they're also fighting the market. And so I think that a lot of the time we're just making it so much harder on ourselves if we're not willing to adapt and change and make pivot the way that
Yeah.
just because something worked 2 years ago, in my opinion, it was pretty easy to be successful in real estate several years ago.
Right.
We've been in an upward swing of a market for quite a long time. And now we're coming into this shift where I think that the number of agents who are really successful will drop. And it's going to be the people who are pivoting and being adaptable and using technology and using the tools that we have instead of fighting them. And a lot of the things that, I had a conversation with someone the other day, and he said, I cold call 3 hours a day and I want to double my business. And so the logical next question was, do you have 6 hours a day to cold call? And then can you handle twice as many clients? And
Right.
he said, well, of course not. And I said, well, then what got you here won't get you there. And we need to make a fundamental change to the way that you generate business. And I think a lot of the time people fight that change because it's unfamiliar and it's uncomfortable. But to come back round to what I said originally, results don't take time, they take courage. And
Yeah, I
so
love that.
sometimes it's the scary things that we have to do. And the more quote unquote risk that you take in your business, the more possible reward there is.
Yeah.
And now is the time, I said this to someone the other day, the most number of millionaires in history were created during the Great Depression. So when we see recessions and when we see, decreased market stability, that's really where innovation and change and adaptability becomes paramount. It becomes the thing that you have to do in order to really thrive. So the people who've been successful in the past may be leaving room for you if you make the right decisions and you're willing to move quickly.
Very nice. No, I love it. That's great advice. Do you have your own podcast?
I don't. We're in the process of it, though,
Yeah,
I
I was gonna
think.
say you should get one.
Thanks.
No, you really should. That it's a compliment. You definitely should get one. You have plenty to share, and you handle it well. So yeah, fantastic. Thanks so much, Jess, for being on the program. I'd love to catch up in the next 3, 6, 9 months and
You bet.
kind of see how things are going.
You bet. You can come visit me in the Bahamas.
Yeah, I'd love it. It only take me about, but I can hop on my jet ski. I think I can be there in a couple of hours.
I think it's close.
Have a good one, Jess. Thanks so much.
You too. Thanks, Tim.
Bye bye.